Hi guys. So for this lecture, we will need to complete an activity. So we have learned about the basic principles and concepts about in vivo and in vitro models, and we will use this example, okay, for us to go through what are the different types of models available. So for this activity here, we will need to answer four core questions, right? So for each model, you will need to answer these four questions. So for first question is how the model can be used to understand the disease pathogenesis. So like for example, you are looking at in vitro model. So the in vitro model is used to model which aspect of the disease, right? And the second question here is what is the method of inducing human diseases in other organisms? So if you are using an in vitro model, you will need to indicate how the disease, okay, is reflected in your model, methods of inducing the disease. The third one would be the challenges. What are the limitations of this disease model? And the last one is how it could be improved. What are the improvement and translational strategies? So the example disease that we'll be using in this lecture here would be psoriasis. So I have also attached a paper here. You can search for this paper in the reading materials folder in Times. It is here. Yeah, so if you look into the folder here under reading materials, so the psoriasis paper would be under this reading materials folder. So you will need to understand, okay, how the disease pathogenesis occur, right? So for example, for psoriasis, it would involve keratinocyte proliferation, and it will also involve immune cell inflammation as well as angiogenesis. So you might want to go through the paper, okay, to understand how the disease is being modeled. So we have in vitro model, ex vivo model, and a system biology analysis model here. So this one here, A refers to the in vitro model, B refers to the in vitro model as well. So A and B are together. D here refers to the ex vivo model. So this is a skin biopsy being tested in the culture, right? And C here refers to the system biology analytic model, meaning that they are combining the analysis in a systematic manner using bioinformatics analysis. So there are three models here. In vitro, you have system biology analysis and ex vivo model. And the last one would be in vivo models. For in vivo models, there are four categories. We have spontaneous model, genetically engineered, xenotransplantation model, as well as the direct induction. So there are four categories here under in vivo model. So what I would like you to do is that based on your grouping, there would have four groups in your class. All groupings, I will need each of the groups to work on the model. For example, group 1 will work on in vitro model, group 2 will work on ex vivo model and the system biology profiling, group 3 on spontaneous and genetically engineered, group 4 on the xenotransplantation and direct induction. So you will work on these models using the Padlet wall, which is why you will need to go to Times here. Okay, so you will look at the reading materials, the slide is here, and click into the Padlet wall, right? So in the Padlet wall here, you would have four groups. Group 1 to work on in vitro model, group 2, group 3, and group 4. So each of the group will need to answer the four core questions, yeah, which is the four questions that we have mentioned just now. How each of the model would be used to understand the disease pathogenesis, how is it being induced, Okay, number three, what are the challenges? And the fourth one would be the improvement and translational strategies. So this is the activity that you will need to do for this class, right? So once you have completed the activity, I will feed back to your Padlet wall here. Okay, I will provide comments for each of the group here in the Padlet wall. Once I have completed the comments and suggestions, right, you will need to give a score for your teamwork. So for example, in group one, you will need to evaluate your peers. So lecturer assessment is my part. Okay, so I will evaluate for you all. The second part here would be the peer assessment. So how do you grade your peers in terms of their contributions, their ideas and suggestions in this activity? And the last would be the self-assessment. So you can complete all these in the times here, right? Work assessment. So you will need to complete your peer evaluation. So let's say your group has 5 students. So each one of you will need to perform the peer evaluation for the 4 group members. And self-evaluation is only for yourself. Okay. So for this lecture here, you will need to complete the task in the Padlet wall for each group, right? Okay, to answer the 4 core questions, right? You don't need to prepare the slide. Okay, I think you will just need to answer directly on the Padlet wall would do. So this is the rubrics for the teamwork. So I will not directly assess based on this first. So it will be a continuous assessment. So we will have a few rounds of this peer and self-assessment before we go to the final one. So based on your MID, the final teamwork assessment would happen sometime in, I think in, I don't remember, maybe week 8 or week 9, right? So this is something like a exercise for you all to have an initial collaboration, and then we will have the final teamwork assessment later on. Okay, so if you have any questions, you can message me through Times, or you can even email to me if you have any questions or queries regarding this activity here. All right, thank you.